As far as the season goes, the final total was
7,381.
That is unreal.
From being forced to invest in a piece of land that may not be worth investing in, to having to start all over again following an experience with your personal demons. Here's how Parker Schnabel's million-dollar gamble just paid off massively. For some years now, the fans of the Gold Rush TV show have watched as some of the most hard-working prospectors search for the valuable gold that can be found in some of the most promising areas in all of North America. For many years now, we've watched as those new to the game have tested their fortune out there, while those with decades of experience in the industry continue to see how they can make the most out of their knowledge of these minefields. Then there is someone like Parker Schnabel, a young man with a lifetime of experience. This is most likely because, as far as we can tell, he is a third-generation miner. His father was a miner and his grandfather, Big John, was considered to be a legend in the game. As such, it would come as no surprise if the rumors that Parker was out there in the minefields at the age of 10 are true. What is certain is that he was under his grandfather's wing while he was still alive. Maybe that is why he was able to strike out on his own in some ways when he was still a teenager. Now he is an innovative and energetic mine boss who is looking to strike as much gold as possible while he is out there in the Yukon.
And we need to get some money coming in because we're going to be broke very soon.
In recent times, however, one would find the likes of Parker Schnabel and other mine bosses attempting to rally the troops so that they can continue with the grueling work that they needed to take part in if they were going to extract more gold from the mines during the latest season of Gold Rush. After all, this could be a bountiful season for those out there in the mines because they were bound to make the discovery of gold and other precious metals that could be valued in the millions of dollars. As such, one can see how we're all set for a lot of amazing moments. That said, the team found that it may not start out that way. After watching a few moments of the few seasons, fans realized that Parker was troubled because he realized that he would have to downsize his hard-working crew. Understandably, he was reluctant to make such a move. One can see how this was his mindset, especially as these guys have formed a tight camaraderie among the ranks.
I really want to thank you all. And I mean it from the bottom of my heart. And I hope that every one of you guys wants to come back because every one of you guys has a spot here next year.
Then there's the part where the man realized that they were actually on the verge of making some good money. They had worked so hard together for such a long period of time, they were hands-on when the young man was putting his now successful gold mining empire together. Without them, he wouldn't have been the mine boss who had obtained more than 50,000 ounces in gold that could be worth more than hundreds of millions of dollars. As such, he could never ignore how they helped him develop one of the biggest mining companies in the entire Yukon. As such, he must have been gutted when he had to consider having to let some of his loyal workers go. Then again, it wasn't his fault that their license at the Indian River was over. After spending more than a decade there, it looks like it's time to take his million-dollar venture elsewhere. In order to do this, Parker has set his sights on some place that he could continue making as much progress as he did while he was at the Indian River claims. That's where the problem is, because if he isn't able to find a place that is viable to support his full staff, then he definitely was going to have to downsize his staff, and that would be such a big shame.
You see that up there in the corner? Just a big puddle of gold on the edge there. That's really cool. God, seeing this right off the bat, I bet we might find some really nice ones.
As such, one can see how he has decided to focus on finding a ground that is fertile enough to support his staff. Consequently, one can see how they are trying to give it all they've got, especially since they have a good number of resources and equipment that they could use to make this transition as seamlessly as possible. Eager to make use of the equipment, human resources, wash plants, and knowledge to move forward in this transition, it seems as if Parker has set his sights on another part of the Yukon just south of Dawson City. We say this because he has signed a contract for a new ground in Australia Creek. Apparently, Parker has been able to get what he was targeting, one of the last blocks of virgin ground that can be found in the area. This may be strange for those who may be familiar with the mining community and how they occupied the Yukon area as they decided to try their luck searching for gold in the area. For some reason, they decided to skip over the 8,500 acres of undisputed land on Australia Creek. Alas, it looks as though Parker may have had no other choice but to secure a lease so that he could resume his mining operations, albeit on this unproven land.
Point your finger at it.
We're up here to make money, and we're up here to run the plant.
You won't make money if you chase the help off.
The pressure is still on, though, as not only does he have to make sure that he is supporting his crew, he is also going to have to make sure that he pays the 20% royalty to the owners of the land that he is mining on. That said, as desperate as he may be, Parker still had to make sure that this wasn't a reckless move. Could this land actually be fertile enough for him to invest millions of dollars in the mining operations? The first thing that he did was to check out the map that shows him the drilling results that some may have experienced while they were out there. This will help them get a feel of where the best gold in the area may be. This shows that Parker has realized that he has to be quite cautious while he is digging in the area, especially as they would suffer a crushing financial loss if they only come across the bad gold that may be in the area. Luckily, they have Tyson Lee with them. With his help, they will be able to find the best digging spots in this virgin ground. Before long, Tyson Lee and the rest of the team go to work searching for the valuable parts of this piece of land. Alas, they would find a lot of confusion springing up as they got to work because they made some mistakes with the tags that they were using to make out these spots that may be fertile with gold. Eager to avoid any further confusion in the future, Parker figured that it was best that he got some help from Liam Ferguson, a man who is believed to be the best driller in the region, maybe even on the entire planet. Wonder how you win that accolade? Eager to trace this man, Parker decided that his best bet was to visit Dean's Gold Resources.
This rainy weather that we've had and these foggy mornings aren't doing us any favors and drying out our material either, so we're just working with what we got right now.
Apparently, this is because Dean may be interested in selling Dominion Creek to the supposed best driller in town. Maybe Liam can be found there because he was already drilling there so that he could see if this place was truly packed with gold for the picking. If that was the case, it would be understandable for us to see that Parker also began to feel some interest in Dominion Creek when he saw it. Before long, Parker found that he was in a business meeting with Dean in which they were discussing their possibility of a deal. Well, it didn't look like it was going to be an easy deal to make because upon expressing his interest in mining in Dominion Creek, Dean revealed that it was going to take about $15 million to make that possible. Yeesh. Understandably, Parker didn't have the money to afford that deal at that point in time. As such, what we find is Parker as he deals with the conundrum that he has before him. Either he takes the risk of obtaining a lease to mine in grounds that are unproven when they go to Australia Creek, or he bites the bullet by buying Dominion Creek for a staggering $15 million. While this was going on, we'd find that Tony Beets, the veteran gold miner and a sort of rival and mentor to Parker Schnabel, is still carrying on with his work on Paradise Hill. As you can imagine, the legendary miner was eager to get back to work looking for that valuable gold in the Yukon, especially as the weather seems to be quite accommodating to him and the men hoping to strike it rich. Well, it looks like they're in the right place for this because Tony Beets, the so-called king of the Klondike, was apparently because he owned one of the biggest mining empires in the Yukon. This meant that he was in control of thousands of acres of land that promised to enrich those who had the privilege of drilling into the land for gold.
You got everybody pulling their cable hooked up, so if they do it right, you should pull right out of there.
Considering that we happened to come upon Tony Beets and his crew on the first day of the season, it perhaps comes as no surprise that Tony and his team got this show on the road by clearing the new ground in any capacity that they could. For example, Mike Beets, one of Tony Beets' sons, was on scavenger duty and was keen to go to work in the D11 dozer so that they could get access to the gold pay layer. Elsewhere, Monica Beets, Mike's sister, was also hard at work loading rocks with the use of the rock trucks so that she could get rid of the pay dirt in the area. I guess girls get it done too. As much as this family is keen to observe its duty, one would find that it is only Mike out of all the 3 Beets children that truly enjoys the activities that take place on the mines. At least, that is what you find if you ask his sister. Well, he'd be glad to hear that his dad had the aspiration of extracting 6,000 ounces of gold this season in a bid to surpass the 5,300 ounces of gold that was found last year. At least that way, the team could enjoy the $9 million that they would make if they succeeded in their efforts. In order to achieve this, Tony and the crew set their sights on the channel between the 9-acre and 6-acre cuts that he had mined just the year before. Following this, he planned to extend the team's efforts outwards in the direction of a hill. At least they may be able to find land that may be more viable for their search for gold in Paradise Hill. Thankfully, they have a bunch of equipment that would help them fulfill their dreams. We're talking about 10 trucks, 3 excavators, and 2 D11s. Already, the team has experienced some success with these machines as they helped him and his crew extract $4 million already. If they were going to make any moves, Tony found that he and his crew were going to have to dig about 60 feet into the ground. That may be the only way they can reach into the gold pay layer.
That's, ladies and gentlemen, very serious. That's why, please stand behind the cable. Thank you. How was that? Oh, a pretty good safety meeting.
You've softened it by age.
As they went along with their work, though, they were unfortunate to experience an obstacle when they came across some frozen ground during the course of their drilling and excavating exercise out there. Apparently, it was so hard that it was compared to concrete. No wonder the ripper shank broke into two when it came in contact with this frozen ground. Well, they're going to have to find a solution to this because the Tony Beats team only had about 6 months to mine for as much gold as possible while they were out there. Considering that they couldn't afford to waste a single day, it looks like they're going to have a long road ahead of them in this season. It isn't all gloom and doom though, especially when we turn our attention to Rick Ness. After taking a 2-year hiatus from mining, it seems as though he was back to his ways when he continued to get his life back on track by hitting the mines. As he searches for this gold out there, he believes that not only will he get his life straight, he is also going to find a bunch of gold that would make him one of the best gold hunters in the world. In order to achieve his goals, Rick picks up his friend Zaremba so that they could get to work at the Klondike. This makes sense, especially as Zaremba was Rick's only other crew member at that point in time. Once he picks his buddy up, Rick and Zaremba make the 180-mile drive out to Rick's claim. This was a spot that was close to Keno City. Although the place had been abandoned by Rick and perhaps others, it looks like it was time for Rick and his crew to get to work getting all the gold that he could from this claim. Unfortunately, it looks like Rick had his work cut out for him because most of the equipment that he normally had at his disposal had been returned to the rental company that leased them out to him. As such, Rick knew that he had a Herculean task ahead of him if he was going to clear the area with the handful of people that he had at his disposal. Fortunately for them, the team could rely on Monster Red, the wash plant that has proven to be the crown jewel for Rick and his growing gold mining crew. Who wouldn't look at the machine with some sort of admiration? Apparently, it is capable of running up to 300 yards of gold-rich pay per hour. Not bad for a $500,000 machine, huh? As tasking as the physicality of his chores may be, it is nothing compared to the emotional toil that he has to endure while trying to make his dreams come true while working out there in the mines. After all, he's just trying to recover from his bout of depression. Thankfully, he had his buddy Zaremba with him to get him through such difficult times. We all need a buddy like Z, don't we?
It's just because I don't know which Parker I'm going to get when you show up.
I just wanted to get away from him. More and more, I wanted to go out on my own and do things my way.
As bad as this may be, it may not be as bad as what the Schnabel crew may have to go through if they were going to make ends meet. After all, Parker himself is looking at a $15 million deal when he only had $5 million in his bank account. A lot of us here at the channel could only wish we had $5 million in their account. He couldn't even think about using the money to make a down payment on Dominion Creek because that would leave him broke in the worst way. No, that was not an option. Even as that isn't an option, Parker must have had a mad headache because the only other option was to invest in a lease that would help them secure an untested portion of land. What is a man to do? As he was coming to this decision, Parker finally ran into Liam. Maybe to his surprise, Parker found that Liam believed that he would definitely find gold in Dominion Creek if he got to explore it. He believed that he would definitely find some good gold spots in the area, and with Liam, he had one of the most loyal and knowledgeable workers by his side. Well, he'd better be. According to the arrangement, it was Parker who would be paying most of Liam's wages. Fortunately, it looked like Parker didn't mind. He figured that Liam was a good man who seemed to be trustworthy. That in itself is a difficult quality to find in most people. Considering his experience as well, this may be one hell of a recruit for Parker and his mining company. Back with Rick, we find that he and Z were on their way to pick up some supplies that they were going to make use of after they had opened up their camp. You guys know how drives are, so it won't be surprising to hear that this was when Rick decided to open up about his depression and his substance abuse and addiction. Sadly, all these things took a hold of this burgeoning mine boss after his mother's unfortunate demise. Apparently, this was also the reason that he had to sell his mother's house. Apparently, that was the only way he figured that he was going to start over again. Hopefully, with his mother's blessing, he can use that money to get back on the right track so that he can strike gold on the beach and make a name for himself. Speaking of people who made a name for themselves, the Beets family may struggle to maintain theirs if they are unable to fix the ripped shank that was broken by the frozen ground.
Why do you just drag it in? Isn't that quicker?
I've already lifted this thing twice already. Around the front there.
Yeah, well, that's fine, but I don't like it. Because the next you get top heavy. Just drag it in place, okay?
After having to wait for 3 days, they were glad to get the replacement for the broken shank. Unfortunately, there seemed to be some more delay because Kevin had not turned up to help them fix this broken piece of equipment. Perhaps feeling impatient about the whole affair, Tony implored his kids to step up and give him a hand with this problem. Could they do anything about this ripper arm and its hydraulic pull-push mechanism that could be used for jobs that required precision? Not exactly sure, but for now, they had to worry about the fact that the hydraulic arm didn't have enough power to get the job done. Eager to bring these issues to an end, Tony suggested that they remove the pins in the arm by hand so that they could make sure that the holes in it are lined up enough so that the pins could be hammered back in. Seems simple enough, as that should surely lock it in place. To their delight, the team found that Tony's idea worked. Now, they were ready to use this machine to get to work. Consequently, it looked like it was time for Tony and the team to get to work with getting to that precious pay dirt by the end of the week. Good luck with that, lads. You're gonna need it. Looked like Rick was going to need a bit of that luck as he was trying to make it back to some claimed land that he had purchased from a man named Troy Taylor a few years back. He'd better get back to it quickly. He had paid a lump sum of $270,000 as a down payment for this property, and as such, he'd better make some money out of it. Unfortunately, this didn't seem to be such an easy plan to execute. Rick has had to deal with his demons, but unfortunately, this has led to lost seasons and missed payments. As a result, he had to deal with threats from Troy to bring an end to their deal. This would be a disaster because this would effectively bring Rick's career as a mine boss to an end. Fortunately for Rick, he's able to calm Troy down. Even though Troy wasn't too eager to give Rick a pass for his failure to meet his own end of the deal, Troy still had a desire to help this man. Hopefully, this will give Rick the morale boost that he needs to finally get back on his feet. Such is the life of an aspiring gold mining boss, or any other sort of miner. Hopefully, Rick and the others will be able to make the most of their time out there in the Yukon. From being forced to invest in a piece of land that may not be worth investing in, to having to start all over again following an experience with your personal demons.
If you'd have pulled a rock like that out of your sleeve spot, like you've got a tiny little flake of gold fighting a rock that size.
Okay.
At the mining site, anticipation runs high as the team hopes to uncover significant gold deposits around large rocks. The operation depends on a smoothly running conveyor belt to transport soil and rocks for processing, a crucial component in their gold mining process. The conveyor belt ensures that materials are efficiently moved from the dig site to the processing plant, where the precious gold can be extracted. However, their excitement is short-lived as the conveyor belt abruptly stops, halting the flow of material. The sudden stoppage sends a wave of concern through the team, as the entire operation hinges on the continuous movement of soil and rocks. Nate, known for his quick problem-solving skills, rushes to the site of the malfunction. Upon close inspection, Nate quickly identifies the problem. A large rock had lodged itself in the tail pulley, causing the belt to jam.
Okay.
So this is the rock that was wedged in there. But the way it was wedged was bound into that belt so much that we couldn't get it to roll or flip to a flat point to get it to come out.
This blockage is a significant setback, as it not only stops the flow of materials, but also poses a risk of damaging the conveyor system if not handled properly. With the conveyor out of commission, the team faces a dilemma. They need to remove the rock to resume operations, but doing so requires precision and care to avoid causing further damage to the equipment. Parker, aware of the delicate nature of the task, instructs the team to proceed with caution. He directs them to loosen the belt, which would relieve some of the tension and make it easier to manipulate the tail pulley. The team then attempts to spin the tail pulley manually, hoping to dislodge the rock. This process is full of challenges, as the rock is tightly wedged and the machinery is complex. The team must work together, combining their strength and expertise to carefully maneuver the pulley and free the obstruction without harming the conveyor belt. As the minutes tick by, the pressure mounts. The entire operation is at a standstill, and every second counts. The team's determination is palpable as they persist, knowing that overcoming this obstacle is crucial for the success of their mining efforts. With careful effort and teamwork, they finally manage to dislodge the rock, allowing the conveyor belt to resume its critical function. The relief is immense as the conveyor belt starts moving again, carrying the precious soil and rocks toward the processing plant. The team's swift and careful response to the crisis highlights their resilience and expertise, underscoring the challenges they face daily in their quest for gold. As they work to resolve the issue, tension mounts. The longer the conveyor remains inactive, the more gold they potentially miss out on extracting. The team's efficiency and coordination are put to the test as they carefully maneuver to free the jammed belt. Every minute counts, and the pressure to quickly and safely resolve the problem weighs heavily on everyone involved.
Just one big one. Looks like we got a rock in the tail pulley. Keep prying.
No,
Okay. We're gonna have to loosen the belt. Try to spin that tail pulley in the belt so it'll kick that rock out.
After some effort, the team successfully dislodges the rock and gets the conveyor moving again. The sense of relief is palpable as the belt resumes its steady hum, indicating that the flow of material has resumed. The return to normal operations brings a collective sigh of relief, with the team members exchanging nods of satisfaction at their success. This incident serves as a stark reminder of the challenges inherent in gold mining. Despite careful planning and preparation, unforeseen obstacles can arise at any moment, requiring quick thinking and teamwork to overcome. It underscores the importance of maintaining equipment and conducting regular maintenance checks to prevent such issues from occurring in the future. Regular inspections and timely interventions are crucial to ensure the smooth operation of the machinery that plays a crucial role in their gold extraction process. As the team resumes their work, there is a renewed focus on safety and efficiency. Each member is reminded of the critical role they play in the operation and the need for constant vigilance to ensure the smooth running of the mining process. The experience reinforces the value of teamwork and the necessity of being prepared for unexpected challenges. The day's events have highlighted the importance of every individual's contribution to the collective effort, emphasizing the balance between productivity and safety in the demanding environment of gold mining. With the conveyor belt back in action, the team moves forward with a heightened sense of purpose. They are more aware than ever of the delicate balance between man and machine, and the importance of working together to overcome the obstacles that come their way. The resolve to achieve their gold mining goals is strengthened, knowing that their success depends on their ability to handle both expected tasks and unforeseen difficulties with equal determination and skill. After a concerted effort, Dave manages to manually spin the tail pulley, allowing the belt to move again. The team cheers as the conveyor resumes its operation, a sign that they can continue processing material for gold extraction. As they inspect the rock that caused the jam, they discover something unexpected. The rock had been tightly wedged into the belt, preventing it from rolling or flipping to a flat point for easy removal. Despite the challenge, the team persevered and their efforts paid off. Jason, a member of the team, notices something interesting in the rock. Upon closer inspection, they confirm that it contains gold.
Jason,
Yes, sir.
come here.
There's some little pieces in there.
It sure looks like it, doesn't it? I'll bet that's gold. Now that's gold.
Without a doubt, 100%.
The discovery is met with excitement and satisfaction, as finding gold in the rock validates their efforts and reinforces their confidence in the potential of the mining site. The team decides to keep the rock, recognizing its significance as a symbol of their hard work and perseverance. The discovery of gold in the rock serves as a reminder of the ultimate goal of their work, to extract as much gold as possible from the surrounding material. As they resume their work, the team is energized by the discovery. The incident, while initially a setback, has now become a source of motivation. It highlights the unpredictability of gold mining and the need to remain vigilant for unexpected opportunities. The team's success in overcoming the conveyor belt jam and the discovery of gold in the rock serve as a testament to their skill, determination, and teamwork. It is a reminder that in the world of gold mining, every obstacle presents an opportunity, and every discovery brings them one step closer to their goal. Despite the smooth operation, the team is aware of the limited time they have to extract gold. They face frustration, knowing that mining is inherently unpredictable and challenges can arise at any moment. Nevertheless, they remain focused, motivated by the discovery and the knowledge that their hard work can lead to significant rewards. Their concerns are validated when the tailings belt jams again, despite their earlier attempts to fix it. Rocks have once more become lodged in the tail pulley, requiring Dave to manually clear them to resume operations. The team works quickly to clear the belt, mindful of the potential delays and setbacks this issue could cause. They identify a piece of rubber that is worn out, allowing rocks to enter the tail pulley and jam the belt. This recurring problem highlights the demanding nature of mining, where even seemingly small issues can have significant consequences. The team's ability to quickly address and resolve these challenges is crucial for maintaining productivity and meeting their gold extraction goals.
Piece of rubber that keeps flopping open, and the rocks get down and then they fall into the tail pulleys. Yeah, it's just wear on the machine, wears the rubber out, and then what happens is you create a little hole and the little rocks get in there. Pretty soon it grows. Now you got a problem.
They address the issue caused by the worn-out rubber flap on the edge of the belt, which was allowing rocks to fall through and jam the tail pulley. They quickly fix the problem by patching the hole with a rubber patch, ensuring that rocks are steered up the conveyor instead of jamming the pulley. After fixing the belt, Dave checks to ensure everything is running smoothly. Despite the quick resolution, the shutdowns have cost them 8 hours of crucial operating time. Now all they can do is hope that their efforts will pay off in terms of gold recovery. Dave expresses optimism about the potential payout from this spot, expecting it to be more significant than before. The team has been mining deeper and encountering larger rocks, which Dave believes should result in a much larger gold haul than their previous operation. The team weighs the gold they've recovered so far, with the scale showing 6.86 ounces worth. This is a promising sign, indicating that their efforts are paying off and that they are on track to achieve a substantial gold recovery compared to the previous week. However, Dave expresses disappointment at the small amount of gold recovered, stating that $11,000 worth of gold is not what he was hoping for. He explains that he was aiming for a higher amount, at least in double figures. Dave believes that the river continually deposits gold due to storms flushing it down the river. However, despite his belief in the potential of the area, his partner expresses concern about the financial feasibility of waiting for enough gold to accumulate to make a profit. Dave's partner explains that based on their current situation, it may not be possible to sell the gold for another 20 years. This prospect is disheartening for Dave, who had hoped for more immediate success. Despite this setback, Dave remains optimistic about the potential of the area, believing that there is virgin ground with better gold deeper down. He plans to continue mining at California Creek, where a 4-mile-long, 30-foot-thick ice sheet is blocking Fred Lewis from mining his claim. Dave's determination to persevere in the face of adversity underscores the challenges and uncertainties inherent in gold mining, but also the hope and resilience that drive them forward. Fred is working to clear a path across a creek, using heavy equipment to reach crucial machinery on the other side. This task is challenging, but Fred reflects on his life and the challenges he's faced, including serving in Iraq and Afghanistan.
When I introduced myself before gold mining, I had a really hard time. People would say, "What do you do?" And I would say, "I'm a disabled veteran." And that got to the point where that was how I identified myself. Now when people ask me what I do, I say I'm a gold miner.
Despite facing serious injuries, like breaking both his legs and sustaining a head injury, Fred remains determined and doesn't let these setbacks define him. Fred also reflects on the stigma surrounding disabilities, noting that people often don't realize the extent of his injuries because they are not visible. He emphasizes the need to change perceptions around disabilities, highlighting that just because a disability is not visible doesn't mean it isn't real or impactful. Despite these challenges, Fred remains focused on his work, determined to overcome obstacles and achieve his goals in gold mining. After clearing a path through the ice, Fred leads his crew to a 6-inch pump, which he plans to use to melt the ice holding their claim and equipment hostage. The crew is excited about the task, with one member likening it to every boy's dream. The pump is heavy, requiring 2 people to lift it. They carefully set up the pump, ensuring everything is in place before starting it up to melt the ice blocking their claim. The crew works together efficiently, knowing that any mistake could jeopardize their operation. Despite the challenges they face, Fred remains determined to overcome them and continue with their gold mining operation. Fred instructs the crew to get the hoses down and hooked up. They are cautious as they work near the deep water, knowing that if someone falls in, they might not come out. Fred explains that they are using their main pump as a fire hose to melt the ice. He plans to tie a rope to himself to climb up a risky area to set up the hoses properly. Despite the dangers, Fred is confident in the thickness of the ice, but he knows there are risks involved in working under it. The crew works together to ensure safety and efficiency in their operation. Fred prepares to enter a potentially unsafe area, tying a rope to himself so the team can pull him back if he falls. He explains the safety measures, including having a second rope as a backup in case he goes through the snow tunnel. Fred stresses on the importance of not getting stuck under the ice. Christopher is tasked with feeding the rope to Fred as he moves, ensuring there is no tension, but also not giving him too much lead. With everything in place, Fred compares the moment to the anticipation before a halo jump in the military, excited but also nervous about what lies ahead. Fred is tethered to Chris for support, but if Fred falls and is dragged under the glacier, Chris must release him to avoid being pulled in as well. Fred explains the safety measures to Chris, ensuring that he knows how to release him if necessary.
It's like a brake. You got this, and if you have to let go, you just let go. Then there's not an extra tail, because if there's a tail, it could catch you and then pull you in. So just use that as your guideline, and then it's going to be a little complicated.
Fred acknowledges the risks involved, including drowning and hypothermia, but remains focused on the task at hand. His first challenge is to clear a crevasse that could lead him into freezing water. Fred successfully jumps over the crevasse onto the bank, with the hose in place for the next stage of their plan. Fred's desperate plan to melt the ice blocking their claim is a success. The water from the pump is cutting through the snow and ice, creating a channel exactly where they needed it. This achievement is a significant victory, potentially saving them a week of work. With this obstacle overcome, Fred and his crew can focus on mining. Fred has also arranged to use Buzz's home-built wash plant, a crucial step towards their goal of becoming independent miners this season. While the crew continues to work on clearing the ice, Fred heads off to retrieve the wash plant from Buzz's home, 100 miles away. This achievement highlights Fred's determination and the importance of teamwork in overcoming the challenges of gold mining. They load the trailers carefully, ensuring the wash plant is secure and protected during transport. Once everything is loaded, they are ready to hit the road and get the plant up to the claim. The team is determined and focused, ready to make this season a success. Fred encounters trouble with his trailer while driving the 100-mile return trip to California Creek. He feels like something is dragging and discovers that the leaf springs on the trailer have broken. This setback could delay their journey, but Fred remains optimistic, knowing that Buzz's junkyard might have replacement springs. They manage to find suitable leaf springs and fix the trailer, narrowly avoiding a potentially dangerous situation.
This isn't going to kill me if it falls, is it?
Get out of there, Fred.
Oh, that was bad.
That close, bro.
Lucky I'm small.
Holy no, it's a lucky that we shocked that, otherwise Fred's dead.
Despite the delay, Fred and his crew are relieved to have the trailer repaired and ready to continue their journey. They are eager to get back to California Creek and get the wash plant set up, putting this challenging episode behind them. After a challenging 8-hour journey across the Yukon, the crew arrives at California Creek with their wash plant. Fred is excited about the new equipment, which he believes will be a game changer for their operation. He has decided to go all in, investing in a 460 excavator, a massive 51-ton machine with a 5-yard bucket. This investment marks a significant shift in Fred's season, which has been on the upswing with a 111-ounce haul, more than his entire haul last year. Fred is optimistic that the new excavator will help them reach their goal of 500 ounces of gold. The crew is eager to get the excavator set up and start running dirt, confident that this new equipment will propel them to success at California Creek. However, Fred's 250 excavator is struggling to keep up with the demands of feeding the wash plant, putting more stress on the smaller 220 excavator. The 460 excavator was supposed to take over the digging of pay dirt and keep the pay pile high, but it's experiencing issues with its swinging mechanism. Fred and the crew are hoping that the 460 will help them move the amount of dirt they need to run the plant efficiently and meet their gold targets. However, the unexpected issues with the 460 are causing concern, especially since they don't have much money to cover potential repairs. Fred calls for JB to come and help assess the situation with the 460. The crew's frustration is palpable as they face yet another setback in their mining operation. The broken swing transmission on the 460 excavator has halted their progress, and they now must wait for parts and undertake the challenging task of replacing the transmission. Despite their efforts to improve their operation with the new equipment, they are reminded of the unpredictable nature of mining and the constant challenges it presents. Fred's hope for the 460 to be a game changer is now overshadowed by the reality of the situation, leaving the crew feeling disheartened and frustrated.
Guys, we got to make this happen. You know, that goal we set's pretty aggressive, and we're not going to hit it if we just sit around and wait for things to get fixed. So yeah, let's adapt, overcome. It is what it is. Take the kick and move on.
Fred is facing a major setback with the 460 excavator's swing transmission failing, rendering the machine unusable. This is a significant blow to their operation, as the excavator was meant to be a game changer for their mining efforts. Fred acknowledges the financial strain this repair will cause, but feels it's necessary to get the equipment back up and running. The crew is frustrated by the constant equipment failures, feeling as though they're facing a streak of bad luck. Fred's decision to call in a mechanic will incur additional costs, adding to their financial burden. With their pay running out, they're facing the prospect of shutting down operations until the excavator is repaired. Despite their challenges, Fred is aware that equipment failures are not unique to their operation, but rather a common occurrence in the mining industry. He remains determined to overcome these obstacles and improve their production to meet their goals. Fred and his crew have managed to collect 7.02 ounces of gold, valued at $112,000, bringing their season total to 4,317.2 ounces. And last year, they were at 3,768.